You thought you could run?
Please, I had no choice.
There's always a choice, and you made the wrong one.
Kang Min-jae didn't believe in mercy. He had killed men for less than a whispered insult. Built an empire on blood so thick it stained the streets of Seoul. But on the night 4 bullets tore through a woman's body to save his son, he learned that the cruelest thing in this world isn't violence. It's realizing you loved someone only after they're gone. This is the Korean Dawn. If you want stories that stay with you long after they end, subscribe. Seoul, 2019. 3 a.m. Rain hammered the windows of an abandoned warehouse in Incheon. Inside, a man knelt on the concrete floor. Bound. Bleeding. Begging. Please, Mr. Kang. I'll pay it back. I swear. Kang Min-jae stood over him, hands in his pockets. 43 years old. Tailored suit. Not a wrinkle out of place. He didn't raise his voice. You stole from me. It was a mistake. Mistakes get forgiven once. You've had 3. Min-jae nodded to the man beside him. A single gunshot. The begging stopped. Min-jae stepped over the body without looking back. This was who he was. CEO of the Biko Group, a logistics empire that moved more than cargo. Weapons. Drugs. Secrets. He controlled shipping routes from Busan to Shanghai. Owned half the politicians in Seoul. Had judges, prosecutors, and police chiefs on his payroll. When Kang Min-jae walked into a room, men stopped breathing until he told them they could. He had wealth, power, fear, and only one rule. Never show weakness. Because in his world, weakness got you killed. It wasn't always like this. 20 years earlier, Min-jae was nobody. A street enforcer for a mid-level gang in Gangnam. His job was simple: collect debts, break bones, stay quiet. But Min-jae wasn't built to follow. He was built to conquer. The turning point came on a February night in 1999. His boss, a man named Choi Dae-won, made a mistake. He trusted the wrong people. A rival gang ambushed their meeting. Guns drawn. Choi went down first. 3 bullets to the chest. The others scattered. But Min-jae didn't run. He grabbed Choi's gun. And he fought back. 4 attackers. 4 bodies. By the time the police arrived, Min-jae was gone. And so was Choi's black ledger, the one that contained every dirty secret, every bribe, every name. Min-jae used it. He blackmailed politicians. Threatened rivals. Consolidated power. Within 3 years, he controlled the organization. Within 5, he'd absorbed 3 rival gangs. Within 10, he'd built the Biko Group into the largest criminal empire in South Korea. And he never looked back. Her name was Han Soo-min. And she was a mistake. Min-jae met her at an art gallery in Sancheong-dong. He was there to launder money through a fake auction. She was there because she painted. Watercolors. Flowers. Soft, delicate things that had no place in his world. Do you like it? She asked, noticing him staring at her work. He should have said no. Should have walked away. But he didn't. It's peaceful. She smiled. That's the point. The world is loud enough. For reasons he couldn't explain, Min-jae kept talking. They had coffee. Then dinner. Then months passed, and somehow, she was in his life. She never asked what he did. Never pushed. She just accepted him. And for one reckless year, Min-jae let himself believe he could be normal. They married in spring. Small ceremony. No guests from his world. Just her friends. Her family. People who smiled without fear. Soo-min got pregnant that summer. And for the first time in his life, Min-jae felt something other than hunger for power. He felt hope. December 15, 2012. Min was 8 months pregnant. Min-jae was in Busan, closing a deal with a Chinese smuggling network. $50 million. Weapons shipment. It would expand his empire into Japan. He ignored her calls. "I'll be home tomorrow," he texted. At 11:47 p.m., his phone rang again. Not Min. The hospital. "Mr. Kang, your wife went into labor. There were complications." He didn't hear the rest. He chartered a helicopter. Flew through a storm. Landed on the hospital roof at 2:13 a.m. Too late. Min had hemorrhaged during delivery. The doctors tried everything. It wasn't enough. By the time Min-jae reached her room, she was gone. Still. Pale. Empty. And in the nursery, a baby screamed. His son. Kang Ji-hoon. Min-jae stood at the window, staring at the tiny, red-faced child. He felt nothing. No joy. No love. Just a hollow, aching void. Because he'd chosen power over presence. And now Min was dead. He never forgave himself. So he buried his grief the same way he buried his enemies. Deep. Where no one could find it. 6 years later. Ji-hoon grew up in a mansion that felt like a mausoleum. 20 rooms. Marble floors. Security cameras everywhere. His father was a ghost. Present but absent. Alive but unreachable. Min-jae provided everything. Private tutors. Expensive toys. Bulletproof cars. But never time. Never warmth. Never him. Their conversations were transactional. "Did you study?" "Yes, father." "Good. Keep working hard." That was it. Ji-hoon learned not to ask for more. Learned not to cry when his father missed his birthday. Learned not to wait by the door. He became exactly what Min-jae wanted. Quiet. Obedient. Invisible. But inside, he was drowning. And no one noticed. If this is already gripping you, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. Because this story is only beginning. Baek Tae-sung was once Min-jae's brother. Not by blood. By choice. They'd risen together. Built the Biko group side by side. Tae-sung handled the Chinese routes. Min-jae controlled Korea. For 10 years, it worked. Until greed poisoned everything. Tae-sung started skimming. 5% here. 10% there. Selling information to rivals. Building his own network in the shadows. Min-jae found out through a wiretap. He didn't confront Tae-sung immediately. He waited. Gathered evidence. Turned Tae-sung's allies against him. Then struck. It happened at a shipyard in Busan. Tae-sung thought he was meeting a Chinese buyer. Instead, he walked into an ambush. Min-jae was waiting. With 12 men. "You sold me out," Min-jae said. Tae-sung laughed bitterly. "You always wanted it all, didn't you?" "No. I wanted loyalty." "You couldn't give it." Min-jae nodded. His men opened fire. Not at Tae-sung. At his guards. 7 bodies hit the ground. Tae-sung stood alone, trembling. Min-jae stepped forward. Put a gun to his head. "I could kill you. But that's too easy." He lowered the gun. "Instead, I'm taking everything. Your routes. Your contacts. Your reputation. You'll have nothing. And you'll live with it." Tae-sung fled to Shanghai that night. Broken. Humiliated. But alive. And festering with rage. Yoon Seo-yeon arrived at the Kang estate on a rainy Tuesday. 32 years old. Thin. Tired. A face that had forgotten how to smile. The head housekeeper introduced her to the staff. "This is Yoon Seo-yeon." She'll be managing Master Ji-hoon's quarters. The other maids barely looked at her. Just another employee. Forgettable. Seo-yeon didn't mind. She'd spent the last 3 years being invisible. It was safer that way. She'd lost her husband to a construction accident. Lost her savings to hospital bills. Lost everything except the debt. 8 million won. It followed her like a shadow. So she worked. 3 jobs. 18 hours a day. Sleeping in subway stations between shifts. The Kang household was her afternoon job. Decent pay. Quiet work. And a boy who needed her. Even if no one else knew it yet. Ji-hoon met Seo-yeon on her second day. He came home from school, dropped his bag in the hallway, and trudged upstairs. She was in his room, folding laundry. He stopped in the doorway. "Who are you?" She looked up. "I'm Seo-yeon. I work here now." He nodded and turned to leave. "Wait," she said softly. He paused. "Are you hungry?" No one had asked him that in months. "A little." She smiled. "Come. I'll make you something." 20 minutes later, Ji-hoon sat in the kitchen, eating warm rice balls. Seo-yeon worked quietly at the counter, washing vegetables. "Do you like school?" she asked. "It's okay." "Do you have friends?" He hesitated. "Not really." She glanced at him. Something sad crossed her face. "That's all right. The best friends take time to find." Ji-hoon ate slowly. For the first time in a long time, the house didn't feel so empty. 3 weeks later, Seo-yeon noticed something. Ji-hoon's report card. Left on the counter by a tutor. Failing marks in reading comprehension. She found him that evening, struggling with homework. "Can I help?" she asked. He looked up, embarrassed. "I'm just not good at reading." "That's okay. I can teach you." "Why would you do that?" She sat beside him. "Because you deserve help." And so it began. Every evening, after her duties were done, Seo-yeon would sit with Ji-hoon, teaching him to break down sentences, to find meaning in stories, to love reading instead of fearing it. She never asked for extra pay. Never told Min-jae. She did it because she saw a boy drowning. If Seo-yeon's kindness is already breaking your heart, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. Because this is only the beginning of her sacrifice. And she refused to look away. Shanghai, 2018. Baek Tae-sung sat in a smoky bar, staring at a photograph. Kang Min-jae. And his son. For 5 years, Tae-sung had rebuilt. Slower. Quieter. Smarter. He'd learned that revenge isn't about matching strength. It's about finding weakness. And Min-jae had one. His child. Tae-sung hired a surveillance team. Watched the Kang estate for months. Learned the routines. The security gaps. The schedule. And he found it. Every Tuesday night, Min-jae attended a private meeting with government officials. Security was reduced. 8 guards instead of 16. And the boy would be home. Vulnerable. Tae-sung smiled. "We don't kill Min-jae," he told his lieutenant. "We kill what he loves most." Tuesday, November 12, 2019. 9:47 p.m. Min-jae's convoy left for the Blue House. High-level meeting. Arms deal with a Japanese syndicate. He'd be gone for 3 hours. At the estate, the guards changed shifts. Standard protocol. At 10:02 p.m., the power cut. Not a blackout. A precise strike on the transformer. Backup generators kicked in after 3 seconds. But 3 seconds was enough. Tae-sung's team breached the east wall. 6 men. Heavily armed. Suppressors on their weapons. They moved like ghosts through the garden. took down 2 perimeter guards without a sound, entered through the service entrance. Inside, Seo-yeon was cleaning the kitchen. Then she heard it. The alarms. Distant gunfire. Her blood went cold. Ji-hoon. Seo-yeon ran. Not toward the exit. Toward the stairs. She took them 2 at a time, her heart hammering. Behind her, gunfire erupted. Guards shouting. Glass shattering. She reached the 3rd floor. Ji-hoon's room was at the end of the hall. She burst through the door. He was awake, sitting up in bed, eyes wide with terror. Nuna. Come with me. Now. She grabbed his hand. Pulled him toward the door. But footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy. Multiple. They were trapped. Seo-yeon's mind raced. The panic room. Min-jae had installed one in the master bedroom. But they'd have to cross the hallway. Stay behind me, she whispered. They stepped out. And came face to face with 2 armed men. Both raised their weapons. Seo-yeon didn't think. She pulled Ji-hoon behind her. Stepped forward. Please, she said, voice shaking. He's just a child. One of the men, a scar running down his cheek, laughed. That's the point. He aimed at Ji-hoon. And Seo-yeon made her choice. She turned. Wrapped her arms around the boy. And became his shield. The first bullet hit her left shoulder. The impact was like being struck by lightning. She gasped but didn't let go. The second tore through her side. Her knees buckled. The third pierced her lung. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't scream. The fourth was aimed at Ji-hoon's head. But it never reached him. Because Seo-yeon's body stopped it. She collapsed. Ji-hoon beneath her. Blood spreading across the marble floor like spilled wine. The gunman stepped forward. Scarface raised his weapon for the finishing shot. Then, gunfire erupted from below. Min-jae's guards had rallied. A firefight exploded in the stairwell. The assassins cursed. Retreated. They had 30 seconds before being trapped. They ran. And Ji-hoon, trembling, soaked in blood, crawled out from under Seo-yeon's body. Nuna? She didn't answer. Her eyes were open. But the light was fading. Nuna, please. Her lips moved. Barely a whisper. Safe. Then nothing. Ji-hoon screamed. Min-jae got the call at 10:08 p.m. Sir, there's been an attack. He didn't wait for details. He left the meeting mid-sentence. His driver broke every traffic law getting back. They arrived at 10:31 p.m. The estate was a war zone. Shattered windows. Bodies of guards on the lawn. Police sirens in the distance. Min-jae sprinted inside. Took the stairs 3 at a time. Found Ji-hoon in the hallway. Alive. Covered in blood. Sobbing. And a woman on the floor. Min-jae stared. At the 4 bullet wounds. At the way her body was positioned, shielding his son. Who is that? He asked, voice hollow. One of the guards answered. Yoon Seo-yeon, sir. The maid. Min-jae felt the floor tilt. She saved him? Yes, sir. He knelt beside her body. This woman, this invisible woman, had given her life for his son. And he didn't even know her name. If you're holding your breath, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. Because what comes next will shatter you. At the hospital, Ji-hoon wouldn't stop asking. Is Nuna coming back? Min-jae sat beside him, still wearing his blood-stained suit. Father, is she coming back? No. Why not? Because she's dead. Ji-hoon's face crumpled. But she saved me. I know. So why can't we save her? Min-jae had no answer. He'd killed men, destroyed lives, built an empire on ruthlessness. But he couldn't bring back one good woman. For the first time in 20 years, Kang Min-jae had no control. Min-jae couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., he returned to the estate, walked to Seo-yeon's quarters, a small room on the third floor. He'd never been inside. It was Spartan. Single bed, worn Bible, photo of a man in a construction uniform, her late husband, and a ledger on the nightstand. Min-jae opened it. Income, expenses, hospital debt, 8 million Korean wons. And then, a line that stopped his heart. Monthly donation to Master Ji-hoon's school fund, 200,000 Korean wons. Half her salary. Every month. For a year. She'd been paying for tutoring materials, books, supplies the school requested. Things Min-jae, a billionaire, never bothered to cover. Because he never read the notices. She did it quietly, without asking for credit. And now she was dead. Min-jae sat on her bed, clutched the ledger, and for the first time since his wife died, he wept. Min-jae didn't mourn. He hunted. He called in every favor, every contact, every debt. Find Baek Tae-sung, he told Kwon. I don't care where he is. I don't care what it costs. Sir, he's in China. Then we go to China. 3 days later, Min-jae's team tracked Tae-sung to a safe house in Macau. Min-jae went himself, with 6 men. They breached at dawn. Tae-sung was asleep. He woke to a gun pressed against his forehead. Min-jae stared down at him. You killed an innocent woman. Tae-sung laughed bitterly. I was aiming for your son. Min-jae's finger tightened on the trigger. Every instinct screamed to pull it, to end this. But then he thought of Seo-yeon, of her quiet kindness, of the choice she made. And he lowered the gun. I'm not you anymore. He nodded to his men. Take him. The prosecutors will want him alive. Tae-sung was dragged away, screaming. And Min-jae walked out, changed. Seo-yeon's funeral was held on a gray Saturday. No family. Her parents were dead. No friends. She'd worked too much to keep any. Just Min-jae, Ji-hoon, and the household staff, who finally understood who she'd been. The priest spoke of sacrifice, of love, of grace. But the words felt hollow. Because Seo-yeon didn't need eulogies. She needed someone to have seen her while she was alive. Ji-hoon placed a white flower on the casket. Thank you, Nuna, he whispered. Min-jae stood silent. Broken. Because some debts can't be repaid. Monday morning. Min-jae called a press conference. His executives begged him to reconsider. His lawyers threatened to quit. But he didn't care. He stood before cameras and microphones and said, My name is Kang Min-jae. I am the CEO of Biko Group. And I am a criminal. The room erupted. He continued. For 20 years, I have run an empire built on corruption, violence, and blood. I have bribed officials, ordered executions, destroyed lives. But last week, a woman named Yoon Seo-yeon died saving my son. She was a maid. I barely knew her name. But she was worth more than every man in my organization combined. His voice cracked. Today, I am turning over evidence to the prosecutor's office. Financial records. Transaction logs. Names. I will dismantle the Biko Group. And I will pay for my crimes. Because if I don't... He paused. Then her death meant nothing. Silence. Then chaos. The underworld erupted. But Min-jae had made his choice. And there was no going back. If this decision is shaking you to your core, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. Because redemption is never easy. The arrests came fast. Federal raids. SWAT teams. Helicopters. Min-jae's tower in Gangnam was stormed at dawn. Executives tried to flee. Some succeeded. Most didn't. Files were seized. Accounts frozen. Within 2 weeks, the Biko group was dismantled. 37 arrests, including 12 government officials. Min-jae cooperated with everything. Gave names, locations, evidence. His lawyers negotiated a plea deal. 8 years in prison. He accepted without argument. But before he was sentenced, he did one last thing. Min-jae liquidated his personal assets. The mansion. The cars. The offshore accounts. Everything. 47 billion Korean wons won. And he established the Yoon Seo-yeon Foundation. Its mission, to pay off medical debt for families in poverty. To give scholarships to struggling students. To help people like her, who worked themselves to death trying to survive. The foundation's first act? Paying off Seo-yeon's remaining hospital debt. 3.2 million Korean wons won. The debt that had consumed her life. Erased. Too late to save her. But not too late to honor her. Min-jae entered Anyang prison in January 2020. Inmate number 2847. No special treatment. No protection. Just him. And his guilt. The first week, 3 inmates tried to kill him. Rivals who'd lost everything when he testified. Min-jae could have fought back. Could have ended them. But he didn't. He took the beating. Let them break 2 ribs. Because he deserved it. Guards intervened before it went further. After that, the attempt stopped. Word spread, Kang Min-jae wasn't the same man. He didn't fight. Didn't threaten. Didn't play the game. He just served his time. Quietly. Like Seo-yeon had lived. Min-jae wrote to Ji-hoon every week. At first, the letters were formal. Study hard. Listen to your grandmother. But slowly, they changed. He started writing about Seo-yeon. About regret. About the man he wished he'd been. I thought protecting you meant keeping you safe from the world. But I was wrong. I kept you safe from me too. Seo-yeon understood what I didn't. That love isn't control. It's presence. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't see her. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Ji-hoon kept every letter. Read them at Seo-yeon's grave. And slowly, the anger softened. Not into forgiveness, but into understanding. Ji-hoon visited Seo-yeon's grave every week. Brought flowers. Read to her. Told her about school. I got an A in reading, Nuna. Because of you. He never stopped talking to her. Because she'd never stopped listening. At 13, he wrote her a letter. Placed it on her grave. Dear Nuna. I don't know if you can read this. But I need to say it. You saved my life. But more than that, you taught me what love looks like. It's not loud. It's not perfect. It's staying. It's choosing someone even when no one's watching. I'm going to make you proud. I promise. Love. Ji-hoon. He placed white flowers beside the letter. And cried. Baek Tae-sung's trial was a media circus. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Organized crime. The prosecution had everything. Min-jae testified from prison via video link. He looked Tae-sung in the eye. You wanted to hurt me. And you succeeded. But not the way you thought. You didn't take my son. You gave me clarity. Tae-sung laughed. You destroyed your own empire for a maid? No, Min-jae said quietly. She was worth more than any empire. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Life in prison. No parole. Tae-sung was dragged away screaming. And Min-jae felt nothing. Because revenge didn't matter anymore. Only honoring her did. If this transformation is gripping you, subscribe to the Korean Dawn because the story isn't over yet. 8 years later. January 2028. Min-jae walked out of Anyang prison. 51 years old. Gray hair. Thin. Unrecognizable. Ji-hoon was waiting. 21 now. Taller than his father. University student. They stood facing each other. Nuna would have wanted me to forgive you, Ji-hoon said. Min-jae's throat tightened. So I will. They didn't hug. But they walked together. And for the first time, they talked. Really talked. About everything. Min-jae didn't rebuild. He got a job at a small logistics company. Entry level. 2.5 million Korean wons won a month. He lived in a one-room apartment in Gwangju. No guards. No power. No fear. Just him. Every evening, he cooked dinner for Ji-hoon. Simple meals. Rice. Kimchi stew. The kind Seo-yeon used to make. They ate together. And Min-jae listened. Really listened. For the first time. Ji-hoon talked about university. About his dreams. About wanting to work in social services. Because of her, he said. Min-jae nodded. She'd be proud. The Yoon Seo-yeon Foundation became massive. By 2030, it had paid off 18 billion Korean wons in medical debt, funded 2,400 scholarships, built housing for 300 families. Min-jae volunteered there on weekends, filing paperwork, answering phones. The staff didn't know who he was. Just another volunteer. One day, a woman came in. Desperate. Her husband had cancer. 12 million Korean wons in hospital bills. She was 3 months from losing her home. Min-jae processed her application. 2 days later, the debt was paid. She returned, sobbing, to thank the foundation. Min-jae wasn't there. He didn't need thanks. Seo-yeon never got any. And she gave everything. Every year, on November 12th, they held a memorial. At Seo-yeon's grave. Hundreds attended. Families saved by the foundation. Strangers who'd heard her story. Students who'd received scholarships in her name. Min-jae and Ji-hoon stood together. Silent. Grateful. Broken. And rebuilt. Do you think she knew? Ji-hoon asked. That she'd change everything? Min-jae shook his head. No. She didn't do it for legacy. She did it because it was right. Not everyone forgave Min-jae. In 2031, a former Biko lieutenant, a man named Han Jae-won, was released from prison. He blamed Min-jae for his 15-year sentence. And he wanted revenge. But Min-jae was untouchable. So Jae-won targeted Ji-hoon. He hired 2 men. Gave them photos. Addresses. Make it hurt, he said. You'll have to go through me. The man hesitated. Then sirens. Police. Ji-hoon was leaving the foundation office late one night. 2 men approached. He knew immediately. The way they moved. The look in their eyes. He ran. But they were faster. They cornered him in an alley. One pulled a knife. Then. A voice. Step away from my son. Min-jae. 54 years old. Thin. Gray. But his eyes were steel. The men laughed. Old man, walk away. Min-jae didn't move. I said step away. One of them lunged. Min-jae was faster. 20 years ago, he was a killer. 8 years in prison didn't erase muscle memory. He disarmed the first man in 2 moves. Broke his wrist. Sent him sprawling. The second man pulled a gun. Min-jae stepped in front of Ji-hoon. Just like Seo-yeon had. Ji-hoon had triggered a silent alarm. The attackers fled. Min-jae turned to his son. Are you hurt? Ji-hoon stared. You protected me. I should have done it 20 years ago. And for the first time. They hugged. Han Jae-won was arrested 2 days later. Conspiracy. Attempted murder. He'd be going back to prison for life. At the hearing, Min-jae testified. I destroyed lives. I know that. But this man is trying to hurt my son to hurt me. I won't let that happen. The judge sentenced Jae-won to 25 years. And it was over. Finally. If this story has become part of you, subscribe to the Korean Dawn. Because we're almost at the end. Ji-hoon got married at 28. To a social worker named Kang Min-jae. They met at the foundation. The wedding was small. 50 guests. No extravagance. Min-jae walked his son down the aisle. And cried. Because Soo-min should have been there. Because Seo-yeon should have been there. But he was. And that had to be enough. 2 years later, Ji-hoon had a daughter. He named her Seo-yeon. Min-jae held her for the first time in the hospital. Tiny. Perfect. Alive. She has your mother's eyes, he whispered to Ji-hoon. And Nuna's heart, Ji-hoon said. Min-jae smiled through tears. Then she'll be unstoppable. Min-jae was 73 when he made his last visit to Seo-yeon's grave. Alone. He knelt. Placed flowers. I don't know if you can hear me, he said quietly. But I need you to know. You saved my son. But you also saved me. I was a monster. And you showed me I didn't have to be. I've spent 30 years trying to be worthy of what you did. I don't know if I've succeeded. But I tried. And I'll keep trying. Until I see you again. He stayed until sunset. Then rose. And walked away. At peace. When Min-jae died at 76, his funeral was quiet. Ji-hoon. Min-jae. Little Seo-yeon, now 6 years old. And hundreds of strangers. Families saved by the foundation. People who'd never met him but knew his story. They didn't mourn a criminal. They celebrated a man who'd been broken. And rebuilt by love. Little Seo-yeon is 12 now. She visits 2 graves every year. Her grandfather's. And the woman she was named after. She places flowers on both. And reads aloud. Stories. Poems. The same way her great Nuna once did for her father. Why do we come here, Dad? She asks Ji-hoon. He kneels beside her. Because she loved me when no one else did. And that love saved everything. Did you love her? More than I knew how to say. Then I'll make sure she knows. And Ji-hoon realizes. Seo-yeon's love didn't die. It multiplied. Through him. Through his daughter. Through every life the foundation touched. She became eternal. Not through monuments. But through kindness. Ji-hoon stands at both graves now. His father's. And Seo-yeon's. His daughter beside him. Grandpa made a lot of mistakes, he tells her. But he spent his whole life trying to fix them. Because of her? Because of love. Little Seo-yeon thinks. I want to be like her when I grow up. Ji-hoon smiles. You already are. Kang Min-jae owned everything. And lost it all. But in losing, he found something greater. He found that love isn't possession. It's sacrifice. That power isn't control. It's surrender. That the strongest thing you can do is let yourself be saved by someone you never noticed, who loved without condition, who gave without asking, and who became unforgettable by choosing to stay invisible. Her name was Yoon Seo-yeon, and she didn't just save a boy. She saved a man, a family, a future. She saved everything by losing herself. If this story stayed with you, if her sacrifice changed something in you, then remember her and choose kindness, even when the world tells you not to. Especially then, because the greatest legacy isn't wealth, isn't power. It's love. Quiet, steady, unshakable. The kind that saves lives long after you're gone. This is the Korean Dawn. Subscribe, because stories like this need to be told and remembered forever.